Okay, so I'm contemplating even posting this audio thing I recorded like earlier. My dysautonomia is acting up as usual, so I'm gonna be kind of out of it. I'm pretty spaced out, and I'm kind of like on the verge of falling asleep as usual. But anywho, something just happened that kind of goes back to something I've been saying since really before the part 1 channel, well before then. But I would say especially since I guess it was the part 2 or 3 channel. And in fact, no. Something that I could say before I even go into this, actually, is that something that I realized, which is also, aside from people being raised to accept abuse, that is a part of why people, like, stay in domestic violence situations sometimes, is that for whatever weird reason, nobody really loves you more than the person that openly hates you. Or, well, yeah, it can be that. Or at least in the person that treats you kind of funny. And nobody hates you more than the person that tries to be really agreeable with you and pretend that they like you. And this even goes into the whole thing with, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. I don't even think my old abusive friend Addie is a good example. That's one of those situations of where the only reason you have some stuff in common. One person is really abusive, the other person is more the codependent and like fine response people pleaser. But generally you're just talking to each other because nobody else will talk to either of you because of different issues that both of you have and or things with the situations that you're in. And I don't know, I guess that could fit this situation. So like I know I talk all the time about this one lady that I met back in Cali that was claiming she was gonna adopt me, but like she was always hold up. Okay, still recording. But she was always like, okay, wait a minute. The first time I saw her before I ever talked to her, I knew that I should stay away from her because it was going to be nothing but chaos and, well, I wouldn't even say chaos, like it was that bad, but I just knew that like it was going to lead to a lot of mess. It was going to become some mommy fall in love type complex, and generally it would just be toxic, and that also she'd be jealous of me in a lot of ways. Because like a lot of people feel jealous that I'm able to supposedly be alone, but I mean, I feel like if I would have started making videos, especially by the time I made the abuse evidence channels, I would have been KMS. So I guess like I can be alone physically, but then like I still make the videos that I really should not make. But they're still for me and people I know. But I would definitely say at this point it's kind of especially for me. But anywho, jealous of me because I don't have to do the whole boyfriend thing, especially the chomo thing. A lot of people fall into that, and I get why. I'm not knocking anybody for it. I mean, you got to figure out some way to get by in life. It seems like that's what life is all about. But how else could I put it? It just seems like, especially for certain type of people. Oh no. Did I even finish that last thing? No, I didn't. So yeah, she was always like saying racial stuff because of like racial trauma she had, and then she would like use me as her unpaid therapist, and she would like try to talk me to like going on these walks and hikes and car rides with her, where I didn't mind, but like she would just talk about different stuff and cry the whole time, which didn't matter to me. A lot of people don't like stuff like that because they don't care about how other people feel. I didn't mind. She would even like be in the car with me and she'd be like she's about to drive off the cliff every single day and stuff like that. But the thing is that even still now, which I really just didn't want to really keep contact, but there were times where I reached out because I really needed something. Was I able to get it? No. But even other people had noticed this with her. I remember this one dude was like, I used to give her money all the time and stuff, and she won't even answer the phone for me. She's as fake as all outdoors. Although one of the things with that guy though is that he was a part of the homeless community and the substance use stuff. Or I don't even really know if he was on anything, but I know that he sold stuff. But either way, she didn't want to be involved in that for the obvious reasons, but also she didn't see herself as like the other people who are out there. And I can get why, but it's still like it's just always something with Jezebelic people and labeling everybody around them off as schizophrenic, and in their mind they're the only normal person, quote unquote, whatever that means, or they're the only healthy person. But like I even think about the videos, it's like pretty much it's an easy place to talk about real stuff that people don't want to hear talk about, that a lot of people couldn't even relate to. Which is weird because it's like most people go through a whole bunch of really, really bad things. Or at least that's how it seems. I guess it can depend on your demographic. But still, most people have cognitive dissonance and Stockholm syndrome and all that other stuff so bad to cope and be able to go to sleep at night and to keep going in life. Even people that have been through the hell and chaos, you often can't even have a real conversation with. And then most people consider it negative, but it's like, I don't know, it's like people, there's just different levels of like, I was going to say being awake. I don't even like how the quote unquote white people on the left and the right have changed the meaning of the word woke, but that's not even really the word I'm looking for. There's different levels of consciousness that you even achieve at a younger age depending on the different things that you go through. And some people are born pretty conscious, but it's like, if you are really conscious and you've had certain experiences, you're never going to be able to relate or talk to certain people. But it seems like those of us who can relate and talk about these things, or not even just talk about stuff, but like who just can relate and don't see the next person as the weirdo or the crazy person or the retarded person or the scary traumatized person, even those of us who have all this stuff in common, we still don't even get along and we're too fake to each other, especially for us to already not have anybody and already be hated by the world and to be what is like Daisy from Santa Monica Close Up and Software Underbelly says, the band of the misfits. I don't really like that term, but the reality is that is what we are. Oh dang, it looks like everybody's walking to a rock concert, which actually can go into the whole thing I was about to say. Okay, so I think I said everything I needed to say, or at least I explained it as good as I can right now. Anything else I'll put in the description if I remember. But something I've been thinking about a lot is that, like, I've been talking about how I'm tired of being around a bunch of, like, serial chomos and rapists and stuff on a daily basis, and just, like, only being around unsafe, really, really unsafe for just mildly toxic older people. But I think that one of the things that I have to remember is that I can never get along with people my age anyways. Like, even looking through some videos earlier, because I'm looking for what I thought I used as a thumbnail, but I guess I didn't. I think I changed it to something else. But I had this one screenshot of some messages that was a thumbnail of one of my videos, where this boy was like, he was like, what did he say? Something like, it was like some read the Torah type stuff. He pretty much said, keep going and just don't lose faith. Wait a minute, don't lose faith. You've had a hard life, but if you don't lose faith and you keep going, you're going to be rewarded. I wanted to make that the thumbnail picture for my playlist, Did I Become an Atheist in 6 Months, or whatever it's titled. Which, not literal atheist, but that's just the title. And I really wanted to make that the thumbnail picture for the playlist because I always thought that if I ever actually ended up making the whole Did I Become an Atheist in 6 Months videos, that I would use that for the thumbnail of the videos, but I didn't. But I can't even find it now. And so I just feel like that's like a really good example of the whole magical thinking, OCD type stuff. People wanting you to like be a little too pretendy optimistic. But I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, when I was looking for that video with that thumbnail, I came across a thumbnail for one of my videos that's in the hypothetically pedo/hypothetically paraphilia playlist. And it's a message from this one girl who fell into the typical chasing chomos addiction to try to pretty much due to the neglect and all that stuff. And in this thumbnail, she was like, I couldn't be friends with people my age or something like that because, no, I stopped talking to people my age because they were mean to me. So I got an Omegle and started talking to pedos, quote unquote. And that's like a good example of this that I'm going to get into. And I've mentioned this before. Pretty much like I need to stop pretending that like I'm missing out and accept the fact that I've been a sociopath due to like trauma and stuff. And then due to dysautonomia, due to I guess iatrogenic brain damage and the long-term malnutrition and stuff, I'm even more out of it and spacey and like always staring off into space and stuff. And like, I guess people could think I'm really traumatized and dissociated, but it's not even that. It's literally just due to like I just have POTS so bad to where like I'm always really spaced out due to like even how the blood sugar issues from the dysautonomia affect my what's it called, my pupils, but it's something else that I don't remember the name of right now. But like they, similar to like when I would have serotonin syndrome from like all the drugs I was forced on, but well, yeah, similar to that. Sometimes it is worse, but like my pupils swell and then like also due to blood sugar issues, but also due to blood flow issues. And then there's also blood pooling in POTS, especially after eating or sitting down too long, to where like if I sit down too long or if I stand too long or whatever, blood starts to pool to wherever. So even if my blood sugar isn't low or high, that makes like it just causes a lot of neurological symptoms that make me really spaced out, to where it could seem like some severe trauma dissociation, but it's really not even that. It's actually a physical health issue. And that alone can just make me really off-putting more than I already am to some people. And it's like, I need to stop pretending that I'm missing out on quote-unquote kid stuff. I feel guilty even saying that word, to be honest, but I need to stop pretending that I'm missing out on doing normal young people stuff that I know I would never fit into. And it's like, honestly, I feel like even if I wasn't in like all the isolating situations that I am in now, and even in the past with like the whole not getting to go to school and stuff, even if that wouldn't have happened, I mean, well, yeah, due to my situation, I probably would have just been too traumatized and too sick to talk to people. But, like, if I would have, maybe if my health wouldn't have gotten bad and, like, I don't know how to put it, because I can't really think of how to put it in, like, any other way. But just, okay, if I would get to be around people my age more, I would still just be embarrassing myself and I wouldn't, like, fit in and I'd just keep screwing stuff up anyways. I need to stop pretending that I'm missing out on stuff that I know I would never be able to do or fit in groups I would never be able to fit into, and pretending like I would be like this social butterfly rock star or something if I wasn't in the situation I am in or have been in, and just move on and forget about that stuff. And even before I had ran away, I would think about this all the time, and I'd be like, honestly, I know that this wouldn't have worked out anyways. I wouldn't have friends anyways. I wouldn't this anyways. I wouldn't that anyways. I need to like stop pretending that I'm not this like antisocial, sociopathic, wired differently type person, and just accept the fact that, for one, I just have too many realizations about the world. Kind of like what Allie Carter said, and I mentioned this before. There was some live stream or something that Allie Carter did, like this was well over a year ago, where she said that she knows that dating would never work out for her, not even just because of sexual trauma from the trafficking, but also just because she has too many realizations about the world. And it's like, yeah. And then it's like, when I meet other people that have the same realizations, for one, just the issues with like dating quote unquote white people, or even like a lot of stuff with that. It's just like a lot of subconscious and covert programming that people are under that will cause its own issues. But like, I even think back to the boy that was being trafficked by the U.S. military. We had a lot in common, but it's like, due to the situation and him still actively being like used by these people, it wouldn't have worked out. But we had a lot in common. And then it's like, I often think back to like the last time I was around people, like especially this one girl that I met when my dad went and stayed with this one girlfriend in West Virginia for a little few seconds, which actually that's what my first Greyhound trip video is of, because I had re-uploaded that. Luckily I did before I lost access to my other emails after my phone got stolen like the other month or whatever. But anywho, like I think back to like people like that I've been, and I think, well, if only I could like reach out to this person again. But it's like, honestly, yeah, at 12, especially when I was still like acting like my situation wasn't what it was, and I was still lying to myself about it, and I wasn't talking about it. Yeah, like people like that, they like hang out with me, but it's like typically by like age 8 to 10, even younger, but especially 8 to 10, people are able to point out the weird person that's like messed up with issues and know to stay away from that weird kid. And then it's like, especially after 12, like that's done for. And it's like, I mean, will we even really relate, or would it just be like some trauma bond? Nobody else likes us, nobody else wants to be friends with us, so let's just like play like each other? Because that's what a lot of situationships are based off of, even when they're not like necessarily toxic or abusive. But now to talk about the situation, because the bus is here. I may have to edit in the rest, to be honest. I kind of mentioned this girl somewhere before, and how like this one guy was telling me about how this one dude that she said was harassing her had actually been harassing her for 4 years, so since she was like 15 or something like that. And it's like, crap, I didn't even know it was that bad, but it makes sense because, like, I mean, these are the same guys that me and plenty of other people have issues with. The only thing is that she has parents that she lives with, and so like she has to deal with them when she's out in public and stuff, but like not on a daily basis. But it really is unfortunate, the point that I'm getting at anyways, that a lot of people are like they're pretty much taught to be like passive and do fine response in these different CPTSD type things, even if they probably don't have CPTSD. And so it's like, one thing that I started to think about is that this girl is probably scared of me too. And when I start recording again after I get back to my camp spot, I'm gonna make a video audio recording about the whole thing with like elementary and experiences specifically with quote unquote white girls, and how, kind of like I've somewhat talked about in another video, are you really a pervert, or do you just really have bad social skills and you're too honest? And that alone scares people. Which even goes back to something I mentioned recently in my video about did I become an atheist in 6 months, and one of them, I think the part 0 or the pre-part 1, where I talked about how like I used to think, oh, if I got deliverance and I fixed this issue, then everything would be better, but that really wasn't the issue anyways, like I thought it was. It's generally just a personality thing as well, which can't be changed really in general, but definitely not by deliverance. Okay, so pretty much I was like, if she has these guys, well, I won't say she has, I don't want to make it sound victim blaming and guilt trippy and all that bull crap, but if these guys have been following her around, harassing her for years, and she's scared to even tell her parents, and she has parents to tell, which makes me wonder, would they really care? Or did she just say that they would do something, but she knows they really wouldn't? Or is she really just trying to be this, like, I think I'm being nice, fine response, people please type person? Because that's not safe. But anyway, I was like, if these guys have been doing that, she's scared to tell anybody or say anything or do anything to them or say anything to them, and especially to tell her parents, she's probably scared of me too, and is scared to tell me. And the thing about that, especially with the things that I've learned since elementary, you do not want to be like in a situation, especially with a quote unquote white person or white girl, where they're pretty much secretly scared of you or something due to whatever different things, subconscious stuff, and even just because you're just really off-putting socially, and then they're scared to tell you, but eventually they claim that you did this or you did that, or they felt like you were going to do this or do that or whatever. That's honestly a really dangerous situation to be in. And I learned that back in elementary, which is why, like, I kind of feel annoyed with myself that I recently put myself in two similar situations that are, I haven't been in those types of situations in, like, years, because I've generally been too isolated for that, especially around, like, people who aren't, like, 40 plus. But I thought about that, and that was pretty much proven like some minutes ago. And there's honestly nothing more dangerous than the person that pretends to like you or be nice to you or whatever, or be friends with you, but then they're scared of you behind the scenes. And I think that also one of the things is that people are so used to predatory people, especially sexual predatory people, especially older ones that like know what they're doing to where they feel like you're trying to like be weird and you know what you're doing too. And I feel like even like mentioning it can sound manipulative because it's kind of like it can make it seem like I'm trying to act like I'm not trying to do something, but I'm really not trying to do whatever they think I'm trying to do or be wherever they think I'm trying to be. But I still think that there's a difference, though. I still think that there's like a difference between somebody that just generally doesn't understand social cues. It has bad communication skills due to like being wired differently or trauma, and like I don't know, like a 50-year-old chasing you down the street or something, trying to essay you. There's still a difference with that. So I can get why somebody wouldn't want to confront a person like that, but I feel like generally too many people are just trained to be fake nice and to do fine response anyways. And especially for somebody that doesn't get that they're like being weird or whatever, it can put them in a bad predicament because then they're like, when they have a 50-year restraining order, or they're in a court or jail or something over them supposedly doing something wrong, but they didn't even know that they were being quote unquote weird. And so that's like the first part.